Director and our new executive director, and we're going to be at She Podcasts Live next week, and then again at Podfest in Tampa in a few more weeks. And we're going to be doing a combination of live and virtual events for those people that will be at either or. And for those that are listening, if you are attending, please reach out to myself or Jen, and we would love to include you in some of our programming. The good news is that we found out last week, and Lily, this happened while you were with us, when we launched KaiOS, the app on International Women's Day 6 months ago. We had no idea that we are now going to be the #1 podcasting app on KaiOS. And this is in 6 months with 0 marketing spend. So we did something right, and we're going viral in Pakistan, Mexico, Bangladesh, Kenya, Tanzania, and the United States also apparently. So we now have an app that's doing very well. I'm happy to share this news for everyone that's part of our platform. And for those of you who are members of the State of Women Podcast Network, you are on the KaiOS app as well as the Android and the iOS apps. And that's the big news. And then also, we launched a podcasting for girls curriculum in Bermuda recently, last month, and we're in our 3rd week now. Bermuda High School is a 125-year-old girls' school. We also launched at Mount St. Agnes, about to launch a Bermuda College soon in the spring. And again, for those of you that are with us, we're creating a digital library of all of our members to inspire these young women and girls. So we look forward to including you in some capacity if you'd like to be involved as role models or mentors, potential mentors for these young women and girls. We did a survey looking at new digital skills going into 2022 that young people should learn. And podcasting came up as #1 on the list, from artificial intelligence, blockchain, cryptocurrency, digital assets. So this is a positive, and we're so happy to have so many inspiring women as part of our network, and also open to men. We actually have Max Sindall speaking about the basics of blockchain and crypto, and he's a 19-year-old who just started his own NFT exchange. So we have men also who have are contributing as mentors and role models. So happy to share that news. And that's my update.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Well, I'm going to turn things over to Lily. Let me spotlight you to talk to us about marketing.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lily Allen Duenas, and I am the past interim executive director of the State of Women. So it's really awesome to be here, and with Jen, with the new executive director. So it's very special to be here today to get to speak to you all about marketing your podcast. So a little background on me is that I spent about 7.5 years in marketing management roles in the US. And now I do more freelance work with marketing and copywriting and graphic design, as well as I'm an international yoga teacher and meditation teacher. So my podcast is kind of new. I'm only on episode 17. I launched that today. It's called the Wild Yoga Tribe Podcast. And each week I interview a different yoga teacher from a different country around the world. So kind of wanted to, I don't know, show the whole global yoga ecosystem and kind of show there's more to yoga than just like the studio down your street. So trying to shed that light. So while my podcast is new, I definitely have a lot of experience in marketing in general. And I took a deep dive this week as well to really prepare and make sure I could give some rapid fire tips, because I've done a lot of webinars too. The random ones you sign up for on social media, where it's an hour of not that much, like 3 good tips or something. So I'm going to try to be really rapid fire here and give you as much like actual actionable guidance as I can give. And then we'll do some Q&A at the end. This will also be recorded, which I know you guys know. So if I go too fast, if you want to revisit, if you're not taking notes now, it'll be available later on the Podcast Academy's website. Okay. So tip number 1. Focus on building a community and not on getting followers. So there's a lot of people out there who are using social media for advertising their business, but it's not an advertising platform exactly. You know, it's a place where people go to talk to their friends and their family and get updates on their celebrities. So we can't just use it just as advertising. So we don't want to just publish our episodes, push our merchandise, advertise for our sponsors. We have to think about how we can provide value. So maybe you've heard that before, provide value for your followers or for your audience. What does value mean? So for me, value means being entertaining, educational, informational, funny, inspiring, or also if you wanted to do something kind of compassionate or relatable. I think that that's how I describe value. You want to either make someone laugh or teach somebody something. You can share resources, hacks, how-tos. People actually love to be told what not to do. Those are some of the most successful posts, like 5 things you're doing wrong with podcasting or something. People love to hear what they're doing wrong. Also, you need to think about if you have a niche, you have a niche in your podcast, hopefully. Mine is yoga, so I'll speak from that. If I'm going to a Mexican restaurant too, and I am not going to order pasta, and I don't expect pasta to be on the menu at a Mexican restaurant. And that same kind of theory applies to social media. I'm going to be posting things that are relevant to my audience and to my niche. I'm not going to randomly start posting about gardening tips or skateboarding. You know, I mean, maybe you have a few different things. It doesn't have to be completely on track. I do yoga. I also do meditation. I do vegan nutrition. So I have a few elements, but I'm not going to randomly start, sharing gardening videos. You have to think about being consistent and that your audience trusts you. They trust that, okay, I come to you for being an expert or being funny or for being educational on certain topics. Okay. That's the way also you can think about engaging with your audience. I like to dedicate at least 15 minutes a day, just set a timer, dedicate 15 minutes to engaging with your followers. Anytime somebody comments, you have to comment back. It's that relationships on social media are absolutely the king. I'm going to mention that again in just a second, but relationships are super important. Definitely spend time engaging with your followers. And there's a lot of kind of, advice out there that you should every day be, finding random accounts that would be your ideal listener or ideal client. And then you should be commenting on 3 of their videos, liking 5 things. Like the more that you engage with people who are like your audience, like who you want to target, the better. In fact, if all the reels you have on your business account, like the podcast account is your business account, you should have that be definitely on the business side. You can change that in your settings so that you get all these awesome analytics and statistics, and you also get the ability to do advertising or other things in social media. All right, so hopefully you have the business account, but I definitely think that you should do a lot of, the tip, sorry. The tip is you need to not follow cute puppies. You need to not follow your favorite recipe chefs and stuff on your business account. You need to only follow people who are in your industry, in your niche, or your ideal customer, client, or listener. If you're following these, puppies and kittens, and that's all that you're liking on your business account, you're going to keep on seeing that content. So you're not going to be kind of alerted to your competitors or to trends in your market, as well as Instagram or Facebook is going to learn that is your preferences, and those relationships are the ones that should be strengthened. So they're going to maybe start showing your account, your reels on the explore page or in various things. They're going to start showing that to people who post cat videos, to cat accounts or puppy accounts. So this relationship thing is really important. We have to think about your business account just for business. Personal account, like all the puppies and kittens you want to. I know I do. What I predominantly can use that for sometimes. So just make sure only your target audience or competitors, people like your account. So as I said, it's not about advertising, is it? But there is this rule we'll go by called 80-20 rule. 80% of your posts, what you're doing, it can be education, entertaining, awesome, funny, inspiring, but the other 20% can be more of those direct pushes, like sign up for my online course or subscribe to my channel, like more really focused on actual kind of quote unquote advertising. 80-20. So really, it's not too many. So I also wanted to give the piece of advice not to be too focused on the numbers. I know I've read a ton of in different Facebook groups that have to do with podcasting, there's all these comments. I only have 200 followers. I only have 500 followers. I feel like I'm going nowhere. What do I do? So try not to be so focused on the numbers, because if they're super loyal, that's fantastic. But also think about, if you can't like transform 500 followers into listeners who will subscribe and review and rate and do the things you want them to do for your podcast, join your Patreon or whatever it is. If you have just 500 that can't do that, how can you do that with 10,000 or 20,000? If you exponentially start to grow, do you have the strategy in place to actually manage that kind of exponential growth? It's just something to think about, to kind of have that plan in place, perhaps for growth, but really think about being grateful for the followers you do have and still giving the same amount of attention and using all these strategies to continue to grow your numbers. Because remember, if you're not quite doing it right with your 500 yet, then you're probably not going to be serving an audience of 10,000 or converting them in the way that you want to. Okay. So also, instead of trying to market to all of the podcast listeners out there in the world, focus on your niche, on your niche. So design promotions and design kind of strategies and come up with different ideas and creative content that will hit them with the right messaging. So tell your audience also what they can expect when they listen to your podcast, communicate the benefits, and make it super easy to find for your audience to listen to your show, to find your links to listen to it on Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever it is. So I know that this can be tricky, especially on Instagram, which only allows you one link, and that whole swipe up feature, it's only available if you have 10,000 or more followers. So usually you only get one link. That's it. So what I recommend is a website called Linktree. It's actually just no www. It's just linktr.ee. There's no .com, no .org. One more time, linktr.ee. So Linktree is where it's kind of a cheat, totally legal. Everyone uses it. It's not going to upset Instagram or something. It's accepted. It's one link that you click on that takes you to a menu of all the different links you can click on from there. So that's very useful. I recommend Linktree. So we've talked about some strategies here, but what are you actually going to share on social media? If you're kind of confused, what's really worth doing? I recommend using Canva. It's great for making audiograms and pull quotes. You can do soundbite clips. Something worth mentioning too about Twitter is that there's this integration between SoundCloud and Twitter. It's where people can actually play audio right from Twitter. So that's really nice that they can do that. So audiograms are great, audio clips. Also a good idea is to tease your episode 24 hours in advance. That 24-hour tease is going to be really helpful for people to get excited. Don't forget, you can reshare as many times as you want. I reshare every single Twitter post, or I post fresh, the same thing 3 times a day at 3 different time periods during the day, because they're not likely to see the same graphic, same thing, because since it's such a timely thing, Twitter. But on Instagram, if I'm going to post 3 times a day, 24 hours before an episode, I'm going to be doing 3 different graphics or audiograms. I can't quite duplicate that, but resharing is completely gold. You're going to want to reshare as much as you can. You can use the same caption to tweak it slightly, but change your graphics. I like to recommend, if you can, Reels are really hot now. Instagram has made those the push to be video friendly. We'll talk about Reels at the end. I think it's really a valuable thing. And just FYI, I do not have a TikTok. I will get a TikTok eventually, but because it's just taken everything over, isn't it? But right now, Reels is something that I'll definitely talk on at the end. I'm going to mention call to actions. Every single post should have a call to action, a CTA. It's a good thing to prompt your listeners to subscribe, share, and leave a review. So you're going to be honest and just explain to your listeners and explain to your audience on social media that as your podcast grows, you're just going to be able to produce better content. So have that vulnerability aspect as well, where you're just kind of communicating, like, this is why I'm asking you to do it. I also like saying stuff like drop an emoji below, let me know how you feel about this, or I'll say double tap if you agree. A double tap gives a like button. So that's great. Don't forget about optimizing and utilizing your back catalog. If you have 20 episodes, if you have 200 episodes, you can reference those again in your upcoming episodes, the ones that you're going to publish, link back to them, and also never be afraid to share again on social media. Say, hey, did you guys check this one out? What did you think? Or you can come up with catchy little phrases, but don't forget to utilize that back catalog, make that content work for you. So, of course, these I think are two little very quick tips before we get into Reels that I think are obvious. It's make sure your podcast has been uploaded onto all directories or podcatchers or aggregates. Like if you're not using something like Libsyn, which will do it for you automatically, if you're using Anchor or something else, it is going to be a manual job. But I definitely, you're going to want to be on all of them. You're just listing out on potential, you're losing out on potential listeners if you are not tuning in and actually getting on all of those directories. So transcripts are also great for SEO. You can use something like otter.ai. There's a few different, I think Descript is one of them too, that will do transcriptions, take your audio, you pay a monthly fee and it'll feed it through. Or you can hire somebody as well to do transcriptions. That's a great, but it's so nice for SEO if you post that to your website with a blog post. It's great for Google. I promise it'll help you. Okay, Instagram, Reels. Let's get into it really fast. I know taking up some time. So Reels are fantastic for getting you more reach and more traffic. You'll get onto explore pages, it's not difficult to get on the explore pages right now because Instagram is being like very generous with how much they're letting things go on explore page because they really want people to be making Reels because they want to compete with TikTok. This is the whole purpose of why it's becoming such a huge thing. So I would also say that Instagram I should have led with this, sorry, but Instagram has an account you should follow right now on Instagram. It's called Creators. It's made by Instagram. So it's just the @ and then the word creators. So that's where they're posting tips, information, statistics, and advice and rules. They also do Reels reports, which are useful to learn how to track popular trends and listen on. And they also list out the popular audio, which can be really nice to piggyback on. So Instagram also made a huge announcement in September. They made 2 big announcements on Creators, their account there, which is why it's so good to follow. So Instagram's 2 announcement is 1, this was up for a debate for a long time, but you should post your hashtags in the caption, not in the comments. They made it official saying if it's in the comments, you will not be searchable. Like if people searched hashtag the Podcast Academy, but I had hashtag or the Ambies and I'd hashtag that in the comment, it won't be on the search. It won't be searchable. So definitely it's going to be in the caption itself. Number 2 big announcement Instagram made is that they only want you to use 3 to 5 hashtags per post. This blew up Instagram. Everyone was very upset about this because you're allowed a maximum of 30 hashtags. And they'd said in the past, no, use 7 to 11. They've given different numbers before, but now as of September 28th, they made the announcement 3 to 5 hashtags with quote unquote, adding 10 to 20 more hashtags won't increase your distribution, quote unquote. So seriously, they mean it, 3 to 5 hashtags. It's also, I recommend that all the hashtags that you're choosing are not going to be generic, like hashtag podcast or hashtag yoga. You're going to want to try to find those hashtags that have less than about 500,000, so less than 500,000 uses. You're going to get more bang for your buck with being searchable on those. So maybe hashtag yoga podcast. And you can see when you're going to go use a hashtag, it'll say how many times it's been used before. So it's good that you can actually have that right there in front of you. All right. So also I'll say in the caption, my tip for caption is you're going to want to have it broken into small paragraphs of 2 to 3 lines, use a lot of emojis to capture attention and to move people's eyes between your different paragraphs. In terms of tags, you can tag, at the State of Women, at the Ambies. You can tag people on Instagram, on your Reels, and on your story. It is awesome to be using tags because it might actually get reshared, which is just awesome. If you can get reshared by the Podcast Academy, the State of Women, even if you could get reshared by Spotify, you don't know. So it's great to use tags. And then good thing to know about when you're doing it on Reels or Instagram. This was a huge tip, blew my mind, is that, you can move text around a screen with your thumb when you're creating things. So if I was to have right here, the hashtag at the ambies and you would see it, I could slide it off the screen. So you don't see it anymore. It's slid off the screen, but it still exists and the metadata will tag them. So it doesn't have to crowd your photo with like 10 tags or 10 hashtags or 3 to 5. That's the rule. You don't have to crowd it anymore. You can slide it off your screen and it still will be counted. That blew my mind. Okay, trending audio. I get asked this question a lot. How do I find popular audio, the audio that's going viral right now? How do I know which audio to use on Reels? So if you're scrolling through Reels yourself, you'll see at the bottom always of every single Reel, or you'll see the audio. We'll say it's like Lady Gaga's Poker Face. You'll see it at the bottom. But if it has an upright arrow, I want to copy one. I had it on my notes so I could make sure I could put it in the chat. Everybody. Okay. So if it has that arrow next to it, an upright arrow, it means trending. It means it's definitely something you want to be paying attention to and using. So how do you use the trending audio? You click on the audio itself. It's again, always at the bottom of the screen in a white font, maybe Arial. It's not like a weird font. It's just normal. You click on it, and then you can either save the audio for later. The option will be available at the top of the screen, or at the bottom of the screen, you'll have the option to use audio. So you could create the reel right now. You can also create reels and save them as drafts and store. You can even create a story now and save it as a draft for up to 7 days. That is a new feature. This save feature as a draft was released, I think, last month or the month before. So it's pretty new. All right. Why reels? Why are they so important? So reels have a really long shelf life. They have a longer shelf life than grid posts. They can go viral at any moment. They can blow up even weeks or months after you posted it. That's because the music can suddenly become popular, or some random person discovers your reel on an explore page because you use the right hashtag, and then it just grows and grows. So it's a popular thing. A lot of people do call it this. I'm not the first person to invent it, but each reel is like a lottery ticket. Anyone could go viral at any time. So that's why you also never want to delete your reels. Don't get embarrassed and 2 months later, like delete older things. Never delete because they're lottery tickets. Just post as much as you want. It's a huge myth out there too. If I post too much, am I like competing with myself and people won't see my content because I'm posting so much? Nope. Post as much as you want. You are not competing with yourself. It is like going to the horse races and betting on 3 different horses versus betting on one. It's just increasing your odds of success, of winning. All right. So I like to post 2 times a day minimum, and carousels are just so amazing to do for your grid posts, because if you have like 5 photos that you have to thumb through horizontally, the carousel you can pop up into people's feeds again, all your followers, not non-followers usually, because again, grid posts don't have that kind of reach that reels have right now. But when you're sliding through horizontally, each like 5 boxes, we'll say, can appear a new time in somebody's timeline or in their grid until they've seen all 5 or however many you've posted. So anyway, carousels are a great way to kind of maximize reach within your followers. Really good thing to note too, I've had this question asked before, is on a reel, if someone's watching a reel, it's 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. What really counts as a watch? If someone's watched your video, 15,000 people have 10,000, a watch is 3 seconds. So that's why a hook, something very engaging, a big question, like 5 things you don't know about yoga, something's really powerful is so important. 3 seconds is all you need for it to count. Okay, there's also apps that you can use to make reels. Canva and InShot are the top 2 recommended. There's also a ton of accounts on Instagram and YouTube and other places that'll teach you how to make reels, actually step by step by step. They'll show you their screen, really helpful for the newbies out there. And also there's accounts that will show you how to do transitions and different things to optimize. The one that I follow and I like, there's 2. One is called Aspire Social. Aspire. I don't know know these people. I just have been following them for tips. The other is Pink Sparrow Social. She always wears a pink jacket. Pink Sparrow Social. Okay, so I think I'm pretty much out of time, but just always you can go live on Facebook or Instagram, do a Q&A, tap in the resources that work best for you, have a website, have links to your email signature, blah, blah, blah. All those stuff that I think you guys already know. But my last thing of advice I would just say is, remember, this is somebody's full-time job. Remember that at companies, they have just one person dedicated to social media, or a team dedicated, or one person just for Instagram or just for TikTok. So remember, it's a full-time job for a lot of people out there. So do what you can. Don't be too hard on yourself. Find what makes it feel fun and feels right for you and your audience, and go with that. You don't have to do everything. Do your best and have fun. So thanks, guys. I hope it was actually really useful. That was my hope. And so I'm excited to hear your questions.
Fantastic, Lily. And let me just say I was really excited to do this right now because the Podcast Academy is doing a marketing resource guide, and that is coming out shortly. So this will dovetail nicely into everything Lily has told us today. All right, we definitely welcome questions. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question, or ask a question in the chat if that's your preferred method.
I see there's a couple in the chat. I'll just knock those out. I was asked, am I using a social media calendar or scheduler? Currently right now, all I do is I go into Facebook business tools, and Facebook and Instagram, you can schedule once together. I just use the business tools. Later.com or Buffer are two good ones that or Hootsuite if you want to do something like that. I've used all three, but for what I'm doing right now, that's enough for me. But I think I will probably transition to a scheduler in the future. And I got also asked, how do you tag? Great question. If you're tagging, you can, if it's on a grid post, you actually touch tag option. I think it says tag. It actually says it. But if you're on a story, you're going to hit the @ sign, that actual ampersand, that sign, and then type in the account. So I would type in the Ambies or Wild Yoga Tribe if I was tagging it. So that would just send a notification to me or to Michelle at the Ambies that, oh, somebody tagged you in something. Then people go, oh, cool, I share it again. So then they share it. It's just like a nice relationship builder. And it gives that nice notification. Also, I don't think it's possible for me to share a story that somebody hasn't tagged me in. I can't share a story, but I can share a reel. If I want to share a reel and tag someone in a reel, I can do that ampersand thing I just taught you, or at the end, at the very bottom of the reels, when you're writing your caption, you're selecting your cover photo, all those things, there's an option for tagging, and it's just a bracket, and you click on it and then do the ampersand in there. Okay, as someone who does social media management for a living, I can attest to this. Yes, Kimberly, yes, it is exhausting and it's a lot of work for sure. All right, any other questions?
Well, I do have a question. If you don't have, I personally have I don't know, I'm sorry, I came a little bit late, so forgive me if you already addressed this, but for somebody who's sort of a one-woman show, I've been kind of, I don't want to say neglectful. It pains me nowadays to get on social media, I find myself going into a rabbit hole that I don't have a lot of time for. So if you, what would you say is the number one thing to do? What would you say would be the most benefit? If you had to pick out one thing, what would you're smiling. So I'm assuming you already know the answer to this. So you can just kind of go ahead and let me have it.
No, great, Janet. Yes, I love this question because I'm a one-woman show too. I get it. It's exhausting and there's so much that goes into it. I just feel like you're wearing 700 hats and 300 pairs of shoes, and you're like, I do not have time for this dang thing. And then you have to learn a whole new software. You have to learn how Reels works. You have to learn how InShot works. It's just ridiculous. It's like they're making us learn way too much to just even have 20 people see what we're doing. Like, I get it. But I would say for Janet, like, where do you think your audience, the people you want to reach, where do you think they're hanging out? Where do you think they are? Is that Instagram, or is that Pinterest, or is that Twitter? Because, you know, there's different kind of personality types and different kind of audiences on everyone. So I would say just kind of streamline your efforts. Like, don't do them all. Don't go crazy on like making a million YouTube videos. If you feel like my account, it's like you're an interior designer and everything's so visual and beautiful. So then Pinterest makes total sense, or Instagram. But I would just say, figure out where your audience is and figure out what you don't hate doing. Because if you hate like doing a certain aspect of social media, then like you hate doing the graphics and you don't want to hire someone or don't want to learn that tool, then just stick to Twitter or just snag stock photos off of Adobe stock, which is totally legal and kosher and stuff to do. So does that answer your question enough, or do you want to go a little deeper?
It does, but I guess, yeah, for me, I really, it's just gotten worse. Just so we're clear, it's like, it's gotten to be like the blister that I was picking, and then like now it's like down my arm. It's just been so painful. It's painful. It was painful. It's painful, and I think, you know, we're kind of seeing some of the ramifications of what's going on with social media, and so like my feelings of just like, oh no, I've had enough of it is I think was kind of validated over the last week or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. Right. So, I mean, I guess more specifically, I mean, you know, with the podcast and everything like that, we do, all right. I can see the analytics, because I also do my own, I do my own, well, God help me, website. And we have all the transcripts and the resources and everything like that. So it's a lot to pull together one show. And then, but just, I mean, do you think it would be, because I've been debating on whether or not I have somebody that I mind that I want to maybe hire, but I'm just like, even I don't want to even do that, but I know I'm shooting myself in the foot. You know what I mean? I'm throwing the baby out with the bathwater, however you want to put it. So I'm very glad that you're here, so you can talk to us about, like, I know that's the benefit. That is the benefit. And that is the way I'm going to, I mean, you know, some place like Time Magazine is not going to be like, hey, Janet, it looks like you got, like, it's just not happening. This is the way I can put out my stuff and get people interested in what I do. But any help for like the reluctant, you know, I'm a forward junkie. Now I'm I want to try to get my headspace back into the game. But
I'd like to add something if Lily doesn't mind. Well, Janet, first and foremost, I completely understand how you feel about social media. March at the beginning of this year, I just had it. I was just done with being on there. I mean, I'm still on there, but my approach to it has dramatically changed. Like you, it is very easy to get sucked into social media and feel all this pressure and anxiety to, you know, show up and post everywhere. And, you know, you have this constant feeling of FOMO, you know, of like, oh, I got to do it or else. Oh my gosh, there's a new feature. Oh my gosh, there's a new feature again and again, again, again. And so one thing I have found for my shows is that if you're a really social media fatigued, you know, which I absolutely get, because again, this is a Zoom world, a virtual world, and it is exhausting to stare at the screen all the time and see your notifications on your phone. You know, social media is a double-edged sword. There is this pressure where you have to be on there, but it's at the expense of your mental health a lot of the times. So one thing I have found that has worked for me in my shows is a mailing list. If you just make the number one call to action for people to subscribe to your mailing list, you can even instruct your audience and your listeners and your followers to say, hey, if you want to get a hold of me, like if you absolutely want to get a hold of me, the number one place is to 1, subscribe, so that 2, you have my email, so that you can email me directly and reply to my messages, and I will receive all those emails. So sometimes we have to kind of take the power back and be like, yes, I know I have to show up this way, but you need to meet me where I'm at too. You know, you don't always have to feel so, I guess, enslaved to the world of social media. And because it is pretty exhausting and everything. So that's just a tip I want to add is, you know, maybe like one thing I like to do on my social medias is the beauty of using something like MailChimp, for example, which is a mailing list thing, is that once you publish a newsletter, it also provides a unique link, which is like a blog post, and you could actually push that on all of your social media platforms. So that is also a source of content. So that's what I recommend. Your feelings and anxiety and rabbit hole days are completely valid, and I get it, and it sucks. There's actually a book that I'm actively reading, which I shouldn't be reading, but I'm reading it, which is called like the 10 reasons why you should delete your social media accounts. But the point of it is to know how to set healthy boundaries and to use social media in your favor and not feel like social media is taking over your life. Because again, I get it, and I feel your anxiety, and I just want to let you know that you're not alone with that. And I hope that even as something as directing people to a mailing list will ease your anxiety and simplify the way that you approach your marketing.
Great. Thank you. Yes, I do. Yeah. No. Yeah. I can go all sorts of sideways. It's terrible. But these are really great ideas. Thank you so much. So I'm glad I signed on today. Thank you.
I'll also say I have a parade going on outside. So sorry, there's some background noise.
No noise. We don't hear anything.
Oh, maybe you will. They're coming my way. I think they're coming down the street. But so sorry for the background if that comes up. But I will say that I loved what Jen said, and it completely resonates. Like sometimes I get so anxious to post that I just like, it makes me angry. Or I've also dipped off social media completely for 3 months and like fallen off the grid. Like you just can't, you hit a limit and you're like, I can't do this anymore. But I would say that also what Jen's advice was so amazing about the mailing list is that now you hear the,
Now we hear it.
oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed.
Yes, we do hear it now.
No, we love it. We love it. We can hear you.
It's great.
We love it. It's great. It's like dogs barking in the background, but better.
Good. So about the mailing list, it was so brilliant because when Instagram and Facebook and everything just had their big outage for 6 hours and like the world panicked and that also said something, right? Like that's a message for us. But also people were saying you legally don't have the right to any of your followers. Like they never have to give you that list. And if it disappears tomorrow, you have no control of that ever. So the best way to have control and take control is to have an email list. So that's the way to kind of get people into the fold. But I will say that I hated social media when I didn't feel like I was doing it authentically, like when I felt so forced to do it. But when I kind of just started to play around with it more and be more stupid and silly and goofy, I started to feel more like, okay, this feels a little okay. And Janet, I also think I try to make my content work really hard for me. So instead of creating a bunch of new things, I'm just like out of my transcript, copying and pasting something with a nice, like it could be a plain blue background, like just a color block. Like it doesn't have to be phenomenal, but I just copy and paste quotes, or I'll ask my guests for their photos. And then I have a template I've made. So I'm really just slamming it in, and I spend maybe 3 hours a week and I just batch it. I just try to sit down, dedicate my time to it, don't move, force myself, and then I can be off. Because I think it's the rabbit hole of every day, just scroll, and then it's comparing, and then it's like, oh, how come they have that? Or it's just can be vicious. So I try to spend a very little time a day on social media, but just dedicate a chunk of my week as part of my like must sit down and do thing. But 15 minutes every day, no matter what, to just check on the comments and respond, as I said. And I agree, MailChimp is great. That's what I use for mine as well.
No, both great ideas. I mean, truly. And I think sometimes because to your point, I'm sort of like Chandler Bing, could I be wearing any more clothes? Like it's like the hats, the amount of clothes that I have on just to make it through the day is pretty kind of amazing. So one of the things that somebody had said to me not too long ago, and it was just about more general kind of business workings. she was just like, you have to chunk out your days, you know? And I think especially with COVID, I spent a lot of time just grabbing whatever kind of thing came my way. I'm sure everybody else had that same kind
Including
of
the dishes and laundry, and yes, absolutely.
Right. It was just, and then so everything was just like, I was like, go another TV reference. I was like, you know, Lucille Ball at the candy machine or the candy store, just kind of shoving as much candy into my mouth as I possibly could. And that might not have been just a like a little reference there, but it was, but I think you're right. I think to like the MailChimp is a great idea. And then also, to like to just focus on those like few hours a day or a week, whatever that is, like in this case social media. So then it, you know, it becomes a painful thing, but then you can knock it out and be like, okay, it's done. So thank you again.
And also, I don't know if you've ever heard of Fiverr or Upwork. I'm going to put those two websites in the chat. These are where you can find freelancers to work with that can create graphics or captions and do the copywriting for you. So literally, you could get this 100% off your plate. Fiverr and Upwork, it's possible that I'm just saying, Janet, it's possible you could get your whole a month planned out in advance. They take care of it all. All you have to do is actually schedule it. And I recommend doing that on one day. Don't post every day organically, go down the wormhole. But I would definitely say that if you can hire them, you could even maybe get it out of the way for $100 a month, maybe out of the way for $20 a month if it's not complicated and you find somebody amazing. But generally, of course, anyway, check out those websites. You'll find hundreds of people who would be willing to probably help out.
What do you think about buying mailing lists? Would you advise doing that or not? No?
Interesting question. I don't think that it's not something I know too much about. I would say if you buy a mailing list, I feel like you'll get a lot of people saying, how did you get my email?
Right.
If you're going to start sending out like a newsletter, like something that's MailChimpy and beautiful. But if you were buying a mailing list of like women podcasters, instead of organically, you go person by person down the top 300 podcasters on Apple and you click through to their website or something. If you were buying something specific to just say, hey, we have this, if you want to consider just a one-time email, just like, hey, just letting you know we exist, out of your Gmail, like just a straight shot, like that doesn't feel too gross to me, because that's just like a quick contact. It's not adding them to something that they automatically subscribe for that they didn't want to be a part of. But I'm not sure. What do you think, Anu?
We haven't done it. We haven't done it until now. So that's my answer. And we've had, 950,000 Facebook followers organically on women investing in women. But the thing that I did not do is I never put a subscribe to our email, link up. It's still not there. It's like, it's sitting there. Like we just post articles and things like that. So I think before Facebook had all these algorithms, before they had the algorithms, they had, that feature where you can take all the emails, and we never did it.
Yeah. In general, I've actually talked to a few different marketing firms this week, and they are all saying that the days of acquiring email lists is it's going away. Those are not that effective. So I wouldn't spend the money on that. I'd rather spend the money on some targeted social media advertising that helps you build your own list. And you can plug in things like, you used to be able on Facebook to like plug in your Constant Contact or MailChimp into there. But if you can get people to your website and get them to subscribe and have that direct relationship with them, it's a lot stronger.
I would also say, as I'm a marketing person, that I don't buy mail lists anymore for my company at all. And in fact, we have built our own. And then when you do that, you can use that to mirror audiences on different platforms. So you get similar people who might be interested in your content, but maybe don't know about it yet and haven't actually given you their email.
That's an excellent point, Emily. Thank you. All right. Well, I was going to turn it back to Anu, but she has jumped. Let's just see if there's any more questions for Lily. Okay. Jen, do you want to update us anything regarding the State of Women Podcast Network?
Oh, well, I guess before I do that, I just wanted to comment and thank Lily for her presentation because, even though I had used to extensively study social media 5 years ago, that was 5 years ago. Like it's ever evolving. And I think I think it's great to even get your fresh perspective as a fairly new podcaster, Lily, because it's like, you can literally start anytime, you can study this anytime, but to put in the energy to understand the trends and to follow the right accounts, you're just helping us work smarter than harder. So I just wanted to make a comment and thank you for that. I think Anu just wanted me to talk because I'm the incoming executive director for the State of Women. And I have an opening message I've been working on that's going to be released in our newsletter. Hint, hint. I think next week. So I'm just really here to say hello, and it's great to see your faces. And I look forward to, being a resource for everyone and to serve the community. A little background on me. I'm a fairly new podcaster myself. I just ran hard with it when I realized I wanted to be a podcaster. I started 2 years ago. Today, I've probably recorded over 500 interviews across 3 to 4 different social media or 4 different podcast shows. I stumbled into a podcast reality show. If anyone's ever heard of America's Next Top Podcaster, I was one of the recent contestants. And last year, I was an award-winning podcaster for for my military family-focused podcast show, Holding Down the Fort. So yeah, I think I failed a lot. So I have a lot of things to add to the table. I failed a lot, ran hard during the pandemic when there was nothing else to do but to be on your computer. And yeah, I'm just happy to be in community with all of you and meet your faces. And I'm just looking forward to this new position that Lily has done a wonderful job laying such a incredible foundation before me. I'm really just building upon what she laid down for me. So I just want to thank you, Lily, for all the hard work you did at the beginning of this year. You guys, starting a conference and running it within like a month, I think. So it's just nice to be the beneficiary of that. And I hope to do justice to your position. And yeah, that's it. So that's really all I wanted to say is I'm happy to be here and to be in community with you all. And Anu, I don't know if there's anything else you want me to add. I was kind of just winging it. But great to meet you all. And thanks for giving me the floor for a minute.
So I just got off the phone with the doctor. I had to jump on. I had a checkup yesterday and she was calling with results. So I missed your introduction, Jen, but both you and Lily are just so fabulous, so incredible. I mean, just complimentary on so many levels. And I'm so grateful to have you amazing women leading the State of Women Podcast Network. And what I was going to say, ladies, is we have an event coming up in November. It's virtual. It's with the government of Bermuda. It's Global Women's Entrepreneurship Day. And we also have a directory where you can submit your RSS feeds for free. I would encourage you to join the State of Women Podcast Network as a member if you want to be part of our digital library. Jen's going to be a part of it. And Lily, you're going to be invited to be a part of it too, to be a role model for these young women and girls and using how to amplify your voice and use your voice. But anyone can submit your RSS, please do. And even if you're a guy, please, there's a place for you if you want to amplify women's voices. So please submit. And we have genres and categories and everything's on a web directory. We also have 3 apps now, Android, iOS, and KaiOS. We won a huge grant from the Islamic Development Bank out of 5,000 applications, 173 countries, 30 winners, 7 women, and we won the grand prize. So this is a really big deal. And it's women-led, women-focused, and it's the Royal Kingdom of Saudi Arabia that said we want to hear these women's voices, and Emirates, Indonesia, Bangladesh, and Oman have come on board. So we want to diversify, we want to be inclusive, and we have amazing people running our team right now. So we need support, and we're so proud to be partnered with the Podcast Academy for almost a year now. It would be our first anniversary in like a month or so. So all of us are working like super closely together, getting more women's voices. Now it's girls' voices, and happy to share that, the curriculum is being so well received. I mentioned at the beginning of the call, we just did a survey to 7th grade and 8th grade girls on digital skills. What are their top skills that they would like to see coming out of the pandemic? And we asked them what they would rank in terms of podcasting, digital assets, cryptocurrency, blockchain, artificial intelligence. Podcasting got number 1, and then artificial intelligence number 2, and then blockchain, and so on and so forth. But we want to say that, you know, each of you are so valued, and we're grateful that you're here today. And please do submit your RSS, because we want to share your voice. And then if you want to get more deeply involved, which we hope you will, there's a link. It says sheconomy.com. Join today, and we're going to do more collaborative events going into 2022, hopefully. Thank you.
Fantastic. Wow. We have filled up the hour in an excellent way. I really appreciate you all coming. It's hard to believe we're in fall. I keep thinking it's still summer, and instead we're dealing with schools and, you know, not less vacations, all of that. So at this time of year, the Podcast Academy is accepting nominations for the Ambies. You can submit your title. It's $100 if you're a member and $175 if you're not. So worth it to join if you're going to submit in multiple categories, because it's only $100 to join. And you can join as part of your membership into the State of Women. So there's lots of ways to get in and become part of this community. Lily, thank you so much. As I said, this was perfect timing and such great information to go into our marketing resource guide that's going to be fully released soon. And as always, thanks to all our friends at the State of Women, because we really enjoy this partnership and all that we are doing together.
Michelle?
Yeah.
Can we share that? Can we share your resource guide, or is that something that's only your?
That's a member benefit.
Member
so anyone
only?
who's a member can log in and have
Got it.
access to it.
Okay, awesome.
Our next Lunch and Learn is coming up, and I was thinking it's at 11 a.m. and I keep getting the date wrong, so I'm going to be good and look it up. It's November 12th at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and we will have a special guest talking about interviewing, I believe. And then in December, we will be talking about mental health and wellness as part of the Lunch and Learn. So lots coming up. As you are out living your lives and getting out there more, please be well, be safe, be healthy, and get your flu shot if you haven't had that yet. Everyone, you have a fantastic weekend, and we look forward to seeing you in November. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.